Settlements and migrations. Look around the city, town, or villages in which you live. You can see many settlements around you. This arrangement varies widely across the world, as we shall see now. The way we organize ourselves and our living spaces in a place is called a settlement. It may be geographic space where live and work, or a settlement. We have different kinds of activities like educational, medical, religious, and commercial also. Here one picture is showing that in the images showing of three places. The first one, the city of Simla, originally designed for a population of 25,000, but today it has nearly 2 lakhs people. And the second one, landslides on Himalayas. It is common in Himalayas. And the third one, a village in Trans Himalayas in Nubra Valley of Ladakh. So these villages located next to a stream that flows with a glacier melting. The stream flows only during summer and farming is possible only during this season. The region receives almost no rainfall and the mountains are barren. So that's why the less population situated in this village. How our settlements began. For about 1.8 lakh years, the early humans lived in bands as hunter and gatherers. Later, they have started practicing agriculture. They are owing changes in ways they were obtaining food. So they were increasingly sedentary, means staying in one place. This picture shows that rock shelter used by early humans at Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Why do the settlements change? The settlements, the population is dynamic. It will be changed in every time. Because of urban development, the population was increased. In urban areas, settlements were rapidly increased. Here, case study given about Delhi, city of Delhi. The city of Delhi is the national capital region for India. So almost all the states' population will be settled in this region. So because of this, when we got the independence in India, the Delhi population is about 60 lakhs. But now according to the 2011 census report, it was 8-fold increased. It is 1 crore and 60 lakhs of population. So every city usually has a master plan to design and collective or allocate different types of areas. It is also same. It has some master plan, but rapidly population was increased. So obviously the slums were increased in Delhi. Means illegal settlements are increased. These illegal settlements only called as Jaggi Jopdis in Delhi. So maximum migration from nearby states of Delhi, especially northern regions for the sake of employment and educational purpose, they have migrated to the Delhi. The large number of people who belongs to the northern region, they have settled in Delhi. What type of places are formed as settlements? Here the basic concepts of settlements is one, site, second, situation, the third, the history of the place. The site refers the characteristics of the place, its topography, altitude, and water bodies like lake, rivers, underground water. Based on this, the Chhatrapati Shivaji built a fort in Pratapgarh, Maharashtra. This site was chosen because its altitude from where all the surrounding areas could be seen. According to the picture, you can understand. And second and third, the situation, the history of the place. Here given example about Visakhapatnam, that is, places do not exist in isolation. It means that they are connected with other places. Visakhapatnam is connected with the roadways, railways, airways and waterways also. And Visakhapatnam is located on the coast, so it connects many places in outside and inside of India. Over the decades, the Visakhapatnam population was increased rapidly. As showing the table, in 1901 it is about only 40,000 population, but in 2011 it was reached 20 lakhs and above. So by this we can say that the population was increased because of urban development in Visakhapatnam. The most of the industries are situated, and especially Hindustan Shipyard was constructed in Visakhapatnam. The Census of India organizes settlements in India using certain criteria. It is based on population they have divided the settlements, especially the mega cities. In the table was given that mega cities, the population, if it is more than 10 millions, it considered as mega cities. Example, the Greater Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata. And the second one, metropolitan cities. The cities having population between 1 million to 10 millions. So example metropolitan cities, the Chennai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad and Bangalore. And third one, cities and class 1 cities. The urban areas having population between 1 lakh and 1 million. So these all almost in a second stage of cities, like in Telangana, Warangal, Karimnagar, Nizamabad, Khammam, these type of cities. And fourth one, cities. Fourth one, towns. All the urban areas having population between 5,000 to 1 lakh. See, almost all the municipalities comes under these towns. Example, you can write like Siddipet, Bhuvanagiri, Sangareddy. And fifth one, revenue or census village. So these villages, particularly a village defined with the borders, either 2-3 villages also considered as one census village or revenue village. You can write all of the villages names, any name of village. And sixth one, hamlets. The hamlets means a group of houses within the revenue village. You can see these type of hamlets in a forest region. Urbanization in India. Nearly 350 millions. The 1/3 of population live in cities and towns. The people have been increasingly taking non-agriculture work and living in cities and towns for the sake of employment, or most of the people are educated. So based on their education qualification, they are migrating to the cities for the employment, and also they were settling for children's education also. This is the reason the mega cities and metropolitan cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, these cities or population were increased, and nearly 50 cities that have population more than 1 million. And when the urbanization was done in India, and also problems were raised because the large cities are increasing of slum regions. So most of the slums are not having that permissions, and illegal constructions are there, and there is no facilities of drainage system, electricity and drinking water supply and other public facilities. And here that the living in the slum regions, most of the population, they belongs to the lower sections in the caste, means most of the people are belongs to SCs and STs. In the 2009 and 10, only about 1/6 of urbanites belonging to caste other than SCs and STs were poor, whereas in the case of SCs and STs urbanites, the poverty level is double. Most of these poor live in non-metropolitan towns and work in the unorganized sector. The problems of urbanization. The growing urban population has to be housed. It needs water supply, sewage, other waste disposal, transportation and many other things. All these results in environmental stress. Many vehicles will be increased. It increases the urban air pollution and causing health problems also. The localized climate change also depends on this increasing of pollution. Aerotropolis, a new kind of settlements near the large airports called aerotropolis. In the aerotropolis, many facilities like hotels, shopping and entertainment, food, business conferencing, all are provided in these places. Some of the aerotropolis emerging in the places in India: the Bengaluru International Airport, Bangalore, Indira Gandhi International Airport, Delhi, and Rajiv Gandhi International Airport in Hyderabad. And some of the examples of emerging aerotropolis in other countries: Suvarnabhumi International Airport, Bangkok, Thailand; Dubai International Airport, Dubai; Cairo International Airport, Egypt; the London Heathrow Airport in London. Migrations. The people moving from one place to other place, the searching of better opportunities called migrations. So measures and classifying migration patterns. How to identify a person as a migrant? There are two criteria are there, that is birthplace and last usual place of residence. The place of residence, a period of 6 months or more. The birthplace is the place where the person was born. About 307 million people have been reported as migrants according to the Census Report 2011. So migrations can happen due to many reasons. While female reports marriage as the most of common reason for migration, and also employment or seeking of new employment or better opportunities, and also education opportunities are common reasons for all the persons to migrate. The migrations are two types: international migration and internal migration. So the internal migration, it is the types of two. There are seasonal and temporary migration. So according to the National Census Report, every fourth person in India has a migrant, according to the 2011 census report. So first, in a seasonal migration, the rural to rural migration. So Maharashtra is one of the popular states in India, which was producing sugar, and also it has 186 cooperative sugar factories. So near the Koyna Dam, the early 1970s, the large scale of sugarcane cultivation was begun. So nearly 6,50,000 laborers were migrated from central to western Maharashtra for sugarcane cutting each year. So from these 6,50,000 laborers, around 2 lakhs are children in the school age group 6 to 14 years. They lost schooling with migrating to the western Maharashtra. Those migrated families, they will be provided with a bamboo mat and poles. These huts only called as kopis in Maharashtra. And also according to the national report, there was a social background short-term migrants in India 2007 and 8. One pie chart was given about the social background. It is about OBCs were migrated about 40%, 23% of STs, 18% of others, and 19% is SCs. So because of these, the low opportunities in the villages, they are migrating to the other villages to work in agriculture fields and factories. Rural to urban migration. The people migrate from the rural areas mainly due to the insufficient employment opportunities and inadequate income available in rural employment. So the people migrate to the urban areas to work in unorganized sector. Most of the people will work in unorganized sector only. Mostly we see in that repairing person or painters or rickshaw pullers or construction laborers. You can see in the urban areas who migrated from the villages. So this has been recognized as a natural reason to increase their income for better family prospects. These people living conditions are poor in the towns because these all are residing in the slum areas. In the slums, there is no water supply, there is no proper sanitization, and sometimes in some regions there is no power supply also. The people sometimes they shift between the two places depending on work and seasons. Sometimes they visit their origin, means a native place. And also migrants also pass on the urban opportunities to the rural areas so that potential migrants can engage in rural based job search. In most cases, migration is the survival strategy for many families. International migration. According to the UNDP report, 1/3 of the world's population, nearly 200 million international migrants are reported. In those 200 millions, less than 70 million people are migrating to the USA, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, some of the developed nations. The remaining are migrating to the oil refineries countries like Arab countries or OPEC countries. Because the skilled labor, skilled persons, professionals are migrating to the developed countries, and semi-skilled and unskilled workers are migrating to the Arab countries, because the Arab countries were required more number of unskilled persons to work in oil refineries. From India, nearly 3/5 of workers going to the West Asia, especially the states of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. What happens when people migrate? So when the people are migrating to the other regions, they have to habituate for the climate conditions of the particular region. Sometimes when people migrate, the people are taking their children too. With this effect, the grown-up children are not able to continue their studies at their parents' new workplace. Sometimes the younger girls in such families are required to take care of siblings, and many of them become dropouts. At the same time, the most migrants, and particularly going for long-term send remittance, in some regions of India, nearly 1/3 of households depend on the remittance sent by their migrant members. And also when the migrants are in other regions, they were settled, they may lose their cultural activities, languages and their customs also. When the generation change, they lose their customs. They may follow the which country or which region they were migrated, they may follow those customs and the languages also. Monitoring of international migration. The Immigration Act 1983 is the Indian law governing migration and employment of Indians abroad. By this Immigration Act, embassies set up by the Indian government in different countries are expected to follow the legal procedures and protect the welfare of the international migrants as given in the Immigration Act. This Immigration Act helped the migrant workers in abroad, either not paying of salaries or if any migrant worker cheated by with the recruitment agents, and also if there is any educational facilities or universities issues or admission issues. The Indian migrant workers seldom lodge any complaint against their foreign employers for the fear of losing their job. Here given some photographs that national boundaries between two countries, the first one USA and Mexican border, and second one South Korea and North Korea border, and the third one is India and Bangladesh border. These national boundaries are protected against migrants. If you like the video, please subscribe my channel and share to your friends.